What's up, guys? Big Rig here, and today I thought I'd give you a little tour of the Kemper and its tone shaping capabilities. And you'd probably get a chuckle if you could see how I have this set up. I have my phone duct taped to a mic stand. But anyway, despite the ghetto setup here, hopefully you guys can see everything okay. Um, I guess one of the coolest things for me about the Kemper is the fact that the effects that you can build into each profile are color coded, and I really dig that because of the fact that growing up, when I was a kid, Boss pedals were pretty much all I used, and so depending on the color, you knew what you were using. Like blue was chorus, green was phaser, yada yada yada. And so for each of the little effects boxes you can add to a profile here, all you have to do is scroll through the menu here, and you can see the screen changes color depending on what effect you're using. And so distortions are red, delays are green, etc., etc. And then the little light above that particular box is that color, so that when you switch, you know what's pre-stored on each of your profiles. So if I'm on a clean and it's not turned on but there's a blue light, it means that if I have chorus, it's just right there. And so for today's video, I'm going to be using a pure boost because I'm not a big tube screamer guy, but there's a whole variety of boosts you can use in here to sort of tighten up an amplifier like you would if you were boosting, say, a Rectifier or a Marshall in real life. And so, yeah, the next part of the video here, I'm going to go through a Rectifier, Mesa Boogie Rectifier profile I found on the Rig Exchange, and show you how I can sort of tweak things even if it doesn't sound the way you want right off the bat. So here we go. Alrighty. So, unfortunately, a lot of the default profiles on the Kemper for high gain sounds aren't the greatest. And I remember going on Rig Talk and a couple other boards, and guys saying, so I went to the store and tried out the Kemper, but I wasn't that impressed. And if you were stuck playing the stock profiles, I can understand where you're coming from. But honestly, if you have a chance to go to the Rig Exchange and actually dig for amplifiers that you prefer, and go to some of the websites now, there's some professional studios who record Kemper profiles and put them up for sale. And it's actually a business now, selling Kemper profiles online, which is kind of cool. You can probably find something that sounds like amazing. For the ones you can purchase, I'm going to put links to some of my favorite ones in the description of this video so you guys can check them out and see what you think. But for now, what I'm going to do is show you my usual steps for tweaking a profile once I've loaded it to see if it suits me or not. And basically there's 5 steps I go through, and then if it doesn't sound good after the first 3, I ditch it and move on. But as you can see here, this is a Mesa Boogie single rectifier profile, and on its own I have it set flat here, so there's no mids, no boosts, nothing. So on its own it sounds a little scooped and tubby sounding, which isn't surprising for a recto, but and so the first step I do before touching any of these equalizers is I go to the post amp section here and add my own equalizer, which is a graphic equalizer. And in the graphic equalizer for this one, what I did, because it was kind of tubby sounding, was I took down the bass here and some of the low mids, but then I boosted a bit of the low mids as well as the high mids. So that way, it goes from this to this. And so step 2, after I add the post EQ, is to tweak the regular EQ a little bit. And so to me it still sounds a bit tubby, so I'm going to dial back the bass here a bit, boost the mid slightly, and boost the treble just a wee touch. And so now it sounds like this. And so step 3 is I usually dial the gain back and then throw on a boost. And personally for me, my favorite one that's in the Kemper is the pure booster. But there's a variety of boosts you can select here. There's a lead booster, treble booster, big muff here, a 1DS, which is like an orange Boss DS1, green scream, which is like a tube screamer. So there's a variety of ones that you can use depending on what you prefer. But for me, I found the best one, at least for my tastes, is the pure booster. And I usually have it boosting somewhere between 1.5 and 3, depending on how much gain is built into the profile. If there's a ton of gain already on tap, then you don't really have to boost too much. So I'll show you. So this is what it sounds like without the boost. And then back down the gain a bit and throw boost on. So I'm liking the sound of that now. And so if I get to this step and it's sounding decent, then what you can do next is throw on a little bit of reverb. As long as it's subtle so you don't make it all washed out sounding. And then after that, the last step you can do is add a little bit of delay, and because it's stereo, it sort of helps to fill things out a bit more. And so with that last step, this is what it sounds like. So that's actually useful for me. So that's one of my stored profiles that I have at the moment. But just to give you an example of what it sounded like initially and then what it sounds like now. So this is what it sounded like flat. And now it sounds like this. So you can tweak things pretty significantly, and even if you get a profile that doesn't sound 100% the way you want right away, there's a bunch of different ways you can tweak it. And if you want to sort of tighten it up, you can throw on a boost, or you can cut some of the mids in the EQ if it's a little too MIDI for yourself. There's just a ton of options here. And so yeah, that does it for this part of the video. And up next, I'm actually going to play a song through this profile. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you shortly.